Where will we have the metal ones?
Yeah, we saw you were down there the other day.
We know we're going to stick the project.
He's already. Oh, no. You think they know by now. You got help with
I hope they don't play here.
Didn't do it, yeah. Yeah, oh, you're sure.
I mean, so, I have my mini coats. I had a hot coat.
Test 1, 2.
Hi there, how are you?
Or is it? To get it started, take them with this. Yeah. No, he's got one there.
I got this one, thank you.
All right. Just crank her up and get her going.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing.
Here, get this one and go. It's 9:30.
All right, now that we have the microphone situation under hand, we'll call the meeting to order. It's 9:30 a.m. and we have present to establish a quorum, Director Bill Herman, myself, Dan Sullivan, Director Deborah Isaacs, and Director John Hope. Director Maria Perkins is missing, as I understand she's attending a memorial service today. So with the establishment of a quorum also present, we have Andrew Smolin, our comptroller, Richard Lawrence, executive officer, and Christina Rodriguez, our executive secretary. So with that, if you would stand, please, and John, do you want to give us an invocation?
Lord, we thank you for everything that you do for us. We're approaching Thanksgiving, and we have a lot to be thankful for. We have a beautiful, beautiful world, and we live in a great place. Lord, just give us the knowledge to take care of it and make the right decisions in our lives and other people's lives that we touch. And we ask these things in Jesus' holy name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. As we begin the meeting and move to the consent agenda, I'm going to have the minutes of the September 12th special meeting removed from the consent agenda, and the minutes of the October 17th regular meeting removed from the consent agenda for discussion. I will give a brief explanation. I will try to be brief. Explanation of the reasons and then the directors will deal with the situation. The first one, the September 12th special meeting, somehow the record of what occurred during the open section miraculously was deleted or disappeared. And so that was put back in so the directors can look at that. That's the only change. And then I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the September 12th special meeting.
So moved.
Mr. Herman moves that the minutes be approved. Do we hear a second?
So we didn't get the minutes of this?
For the September
For
12th.
the September 12th.
That's the only one we're dealing with right now.
I'll second.
Okay. Director Isaac seconds the motion. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of approving those minutes as corrected? Passes unanimously 4-0. Thank you. The second situation is a little more involved. We have two sets of meeting minutes for the October 17th meeting. When the packets were put together for the directors, we were dealing with 7 different sets of minutes for this meeting. And inadvertently, the wrong set of minutes was included in the packets. The two sets were, one, the original set as submitted by Secretary Perkins, and the second set was submitted by myself as a corrected and revised version that I felt, and according to Robert's Rules of Order, was a more appropriate version with a number of corrections. The original idea was that Mrs. Perkins' minutes would be in the packet, or my minutes would be offered as the alternative to those minutes. So we're going to do that now, but a little bit reverse, as my minutes were included in the packet, and we'll have Secretary Perkins. The changes I made, and I've attached a copy for the directors here of the Robert Rules of Order description of what the minutes should be. The minutes should be, and I quote, a terse, brief record of what occurred at the meeting, not a verbatim or long drawn-out description. The minutes should say what happened, what we did, not what was said. This is according to Robert's Rules of Order. So our minutes are becoming more and more lengthy, going into 2-3 pages, and they're more like transcripts. The minutes were submitted by Mrs. Perkins has many sections that are that way. They go into far too much detail in reporting what was said rather than what actually happened. So I changed that. I made it very, the set I put in, which you've had now, the directors have had now for about 5 days, I believe, to go over, basically report what was done, not necessarily what was said. That's the first reason for the change. The second reason is there were at least 9 different points in the minutes outside of the Secretary's report that had improper grammar, confusing grammar, and sentence structure that need to be corrected. They had not been corrected. Plus, I think there may have been a typo or two also that needed to be corrected. So that was the second reason. The third reason is that the meeting last month, the October 17th meeting, which these minutes reflect, the Secretary's report took some time to voice the Secretary's complaints regarding requests that she had made to the executive officer that she felt were not appropriately handled. Those complaints were obviously complaints against the executive officer who is an employee of the fort. And that's a personnel issue. It should be handled in executive session as we have always handled those type of things. If we have a complaint against an employee, it's handled in executive session. The secretary's report is not a platform for personal grievances against an employee. That happened. It was unfortunate, but it did happen and went through. We don't need to compound that within, again, this month, putting into the minutes a narrative of those same complaints. They already were voiced at the meeting. They should not have been, but they were. And so that was the second reason I broke that down. In my version is simply saying that the Secretary Perkins had voiced complaints without going into all the detail. That's the differences. So now, the action that we need to take here is the board has to decide which set of minutes they want to approve as the official minutes. Minutes are also not read at the board meeting because they're furnished to the directors, and it's up to the directors to review them and then either approve or not approve them. Once they've been approved and they're approved minutes, they're posted on the website and are available for all members to obtain and look, but they must be approved before that's done. So I will open it up to any discussion or questions from directors.
So you're saying the minutes that have your name on them for October are the ones we're gonna approve?
I don't know which one.
Well, I'm looking here and I don't remember you actually making motions or seconding motions, and there's 4 accounts where you've done that in these minutes.
I believe you are right, and that should be probably corrected. I
Should
was
be.
not making a seconding motion.
I didn't think so, but I
No,
just
you're right.
wanted to ask that question because you never make a motion or a second.
Not generally. Once in a great while I do, but
So
I
do we
believe
really need to approve these until they're corrected then?
yes, they should be corrected if we can.
If that's one. we're
Someone
gonna
will have to go back to the film and view it.
But do we have a copy of what Maria Perkins even submitted? This looks like this was the original. This is what Maria, this looks like before Maria had a chance to do anything on it.
No, I don't think so. This is what Maria submitted.
I got this morning on an email as her copy of minutes. I can't even read it, it's so small. But this is the one supposedly that Maria and Christine went through.
I think the motion regarding my minutes would have to be a motion to return those to our executive secretary for corrections on the who made and seconded the motions.
Well, I would like to see us just put these aside and not approve any of these right now until we. I don't want to approve something that's not correct. If somebody wants to go back and see who made motions or corrected something, we need that in whatever.
Yeah, I'll repeat it.
This right here, I wouldn't approve this no matter what, at the way they say it, personally.
Well, I'll repeat myself. I think the motion should be for the minutes as submitted by me to be returned to our executive officer for correction of who made the motions and who seconded the motions. And that can be done by either her or someone else watching the film of the meeting. It's on record. Would anyone like to make that motion?
I make a motion that the October 17th minutes be returned for corrections.
The minutes submitted by
But that was submitted by
Dan
Mr.
Sullivan.
Yes.
Yeah. And then we'll move it all to next month's
Next
meeting.
month's meeting.
Is I have a second to Bill's motion. John, did you second
I
it?
second that.
Sorry. All right. All those in favor of the motion to send back the minutes as submitted by Dan Sullivan to the secretary for corrections. And all those in favor?
Can I ask another question first? So you're gonna be doing the minutes from now on instead of the secretary?
First of all, the minutes are, as I understand it, the minutes are the chair's minutes and are submitted up for the chair to accept or not to accept, but I don't want to get into that. No, I don't intend to do the minutes,
Okay.
but I do intend to, as any board member, can review those submitted and make corrections and changes that it's up to the entire board to approve.
Okay.
I don't come in and say, these are the minutes. Say, this is what we're submitting.
Okay.
You guys make the choice. The last one, that takes care of that business. The last announcement I will make is that there, just for now, are the synopsis of the action items are in the back on the table for anybody that's interested in more detailed explanation of them. And then secondly, the action item E for the gang mower repair and replacement at the golf course is being removed from the agenda. That's being withdrawn. I understand that Cash wants to do a little more research and investigation into it. So you can scratch that from the agenda. Does everyone understand that there is a synopsis available of the action items in the back? Okay, with that, I understand that you are going to give the secretary's report.
I was asked to do it. It's pretty short, and then she had some some comments on some of the action items.
Okay, that.
Would y'all would you rather me just put hers in when we start talking about those items?
I would say so because
I don't think it needs to be in her report.
No,
personally.
it's not part of her report. And
Right.
any questions that she's given to you will be presented as your questions because we have no provisions for a proxy for a director to appoint
Yeah,
a proxy.
I understand that.
Sure.
But she just wanted y'all to know her
Okay,
comments
just give
is
us
all.
her report and then we'll take her questions as your questions when we get to the action item.
Secretary's report. I apologize that I am not here to give my report in person. I am at a memorial for a fallen squadron mate at Laughlin Air Force Base. Thank you, Mrs. Isaacs, for reading the secretary report. The minutes that are in our board packets are not the minutes that I authored with the executive secretary. I take great offense to working on the minutes for the president to turn around and summarize the contents in his words, removing the actual content of the report and leaving them vague, mine from last month in particular. I have general concerns over the large and costly items being addressed in today's meeting. The board approved a budget, and the majority, if not all of the requests, are not accounted or budgeted for in the approved budget. In addition, we have not received financials for both September or October, and we are unable to disclose the accurate status of our finances.
Excuse me, Debbie, what is the report about?
It's just what she was going to say in her report.
It sounds to me like it's a complaint. It's got nothing to do with a report of business that I can see.
It was concerns, and she's not here.
I understand that.
I've got about 2 more
But a
sentences.
secretary report should be a report about business that happened here.
That's correct. We finish it up now. This is the second month in a row that she's used that platform for her personal positions.
Then we as a company should not be making large purchases until we know our accurate finances. And the property taxes haven't been paid, so I'm assuming that the overage the fort will be charged for not paying them in October will be taken from their general account. Our spending should stop until we have accurate finances to work with.
Yeah, I'm going to respond to the one comment in there regarding the taxes. That there is, what did she call it, a overage or?
I guess the penalty that we will be charged.
There is
what I'm
no
assuming.
penalty. The taxes are due December 31st. It's a loss of a discount. And the reason for that, so that all, can everyone hear me?
No.
Thank you. The reason for that is our total tax bill that we get is about $135,000, $140,000, I believe. We that's broke down to a certain amount, 20-some thousand to MUD, and then so much to common property and so much to the rest of the property here. We send out the common property assessment to the members on October 1st. Unfortunately, we don't collect all of it by the end of October. We don't collect much of it by the end of October. It comes in December when people pay up, the majority of them. If we were to pay that out of our general fund, that $135,000, $140,000, we would deplete our operating capital and would be unable to function and pay bills currently. And so for that reason, we wait until we've collected a substantial amount of it, which is in December, and then we pay those taxes by December 31st without penalty, but with the loss of the discount. Unfortunately, you could say, well, Bill, send out the assessments earlier. Well, we need the tax statement before we can send out the assessments in order to calculate it. So that's the reason.
Haven't we always paid in October, though?
No, they're not due in October, they're due December 31st. You get a discount in October. All right, that is the Secretary's report. We can now move to the Treasurer's report, and the transfer of funds will combine.
The bank transfers for the month of October were Bank and Trust General Account to Bank and Trust Payroll, $70,500 to fund payroll. Bank and Trust General Account to Bank and Trust Los Morris, $5,000 for beer and liquor expenses. Texas Community Credit Card Account, $83,687.87 to fund for operation expenses, for a total of $159,187.87, and that is $10,741.91 less than what September's were. I don't know how to account for any of that because I have not received the actual September or October financials. Our bank accounts themselves, Del Rio Banks, Texas Community Credit Card Account, $26,363.06. Texas Community Checking Account, a negative $16,187.27. Texas Community Money Market Account, $2,666.61. Texas Community Flag Account, $1,365. For the Del Rio Banks, $14,207.40. Brackettville Bank and Trust General Fund, $148,823.05. Payroll, $8,133.37, for a total in the Bank and Trust General Fund, $156,956.42. Bank and Trust Texas Community hang on, something don't look right. The restricted fund, $401,577.48. The Texas Community, I guess that's checking account. No, it's not either. The 171. Okay. The Del Rio Banks and the Bank and Trust operating supplies is $171,163.42. The restricted fund is $401,577.48. The Los Morris Bank and Trust, $370.11. The Fort Clark Hail Damage Repair Fund, $24,185.20, for a grand total of $597,296.61. I do have one question. I did ask Mr. Smolin for at least the September financials. I still did not get those. Can I ask for those, or can I get those so I can finish out last year's figures in my computer?
I'm working on it,
Okay.
but I had some governmental reports and tax reports and tax payments deadlines, which if we didn't meet, we'd have to pay penalties. And we don't want to draw attention to ourselves by not being flagged in the system as being tardy or reluctant to pay taxes. So it's a higher priority to get that done. And with transition of getting access to online systems and government systems, and weaning away from the accountants who maintain our files, everybody has to learn all of these new things. So that was time consuming, and I do recognize that you did ask for September, but September is just not ready. We just didn't have the time to get that finished. But we know that we need to get that done.
Okay. Is there any, are we going to have to wait till March to get these figures, or we already have them before March?
Sorry, that deserved an applause. How do you not give the treasurer the financials? That's insane. And now we're gonna pay more fees?
I'm sorry you're out of order, sir.
Yeah, I'm sorry, this is ridiculous. It's
It may be
utterly
ridiculous, but it's a director's meeting, not a members' meeting. And
Sorry.
You can have comments later.
I'd love to.
I just would like to have them, so I can finish out this subject.
The answer to your question is that I am currently working on the September close, and I hope to be in a position in the next week to provide something that at least is passable as a first pass on the September numbers. And you asked for the September numbers in the context of 12 months, the fiscal year. So it's a particularly awkward year end where you have to do all your accruals and a lot of technical things that you don't necessarily have to do on a monthly basis. But I'm working on it to try and get that for you.
I think what I would add here too, that there's been some issues in receiving cooperation from former and past employees and contractors providing information that they have, Mr. Smallin needs and does not have, and he has to spend an inordinate amount of time digging back in and coming up with that when they do not refuse to supply it in a timely manner. Also, there's been time-consuming problems obtaining access to records from the banks for Mr. Smallin, as he was not originally the ones authorized with those banks. So it requires some work and a little bit of dancing to arrange all that, and it just doesn't happen bang, bang, bang. It takes a bit of time.
And I must, let me say something also, Ms. Isaacs. We want to get them out also. And we will get them out. And if it takes until March to do it right, then it will take until March to do it right. And even beyond if that's necessary. But by the time we get those documents prepared and submitted, they're going to be correct. And that's our goal, is to have correct financials. It was better for us to do it right than to do it fast.
All right, anything else, Treasurer Deborah?
No.
No. Thank you for your report. I believe we're now prepared to entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I just need to say a couple of things and then I'll allow you.
Sorry to try to cut you off.
That's all right. I just want just a couple of heads up here. First of all, our work on the locating of electrical meters and light outages and things of that sort has been going very, very well. It's been very cumbersome, but it has been nearly completed now. And we should be able to reach out to Rio Grande once again to do the electrical audits of the buildings. So as we move along, that'll be completed. It's coming very well. Also, the traffic control signs, they are up, and we are now, our next step is to have law enforcement come through and look the situation over to make whatever suggestions or changes need to be made. And then we will be inviting law enforcement onto the campus to monitor and control, enforce the speed zones. And lastly, I was happy to bring the board to the motel room that was renovated. I think you were all rather impressed with what was done. And now our next step is to carve out 4 or 5 rooms and begin working on them as well. Hopefully we'll be able to get to work on that very quickly. That's all.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
On the traffic laws, what are they gonna be able to stop people for? Just strictly the stopping, the running stop signs and speeding?
Yes, exactly.
So those are the only things
It's
they
the
can
enforcement of the speed zones and the stop signs.
I think also other standard traffic things like DUIs and that type.
A DWI is not a traffic offense. If that occurs, then they could do that now. They could stop anyone for.
That's what I understand.
Yes, yes.
How is that going to affect somebody leaving the golf cart and having a beer in their thing? Will they have any, if they're not doing nothing irrational?
No change. No change then from right now.
I have been questioning that.
Right now, they could be stopped for that.
If they wanted to.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. There are no more questions from the directors. Can we have a motion to approve?
I'd like the motion to approve the consent agenda without the October 17th minutes.
Are you going to approve the secretary's report as well?
The secretary's report, the minutes, I guess that can be approved, the report, the minutes, the 2 versions of the minutes were pulled from the consent agenda are not part of it, so I'll make that clear. 2 versions of the October 17th minutes are not a part of the agenda. They will be addressed at next month's meeting with further corrections made.
Okay.
These would be approved at next meeting, the ones I just read for her. Wouldn't they? They wouldn't be approved this meeting, they'd be approved the next meeting.
So about the minutes?
Of the secretary's report for this meeting will be approved next meeting, not this meeting.
Well, it's.
No, these would be approved, her minutes here would be approved next month.
No,
they're approved
because
this
we're
month.
approving the treasurer's report that you just read also. So I make a motion that we omit the secretary's report for approval.
Is there a second? Motion dies for lack of second. All right, we do have a motion to approve the consent agenda with what has been removed, the 2 versions of the October 17th minutes. And I believe we had a second, John?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? All in favor? Passes 4-0 unanimously. We can now move on to the committee reports. Is there anyone from the airport committee to report?
There should not be an airport committee report.
Okay, no report. Architectural. Anyone from the architectural committee to make a report? No. The election committee.
Very short report. We finally have the candidate data sheets and the instructions that go with them out there in the admin desk, in the adult center, and at the pro shop. There are also candidate sheets and instructions on the back table. So since I wasn't able to read the instructions last time, I'm just going to read them now just to get them into the video record. Okay. So for the candidate sheet instructions, all candidate data sheets are due in the administration office no later than January 2nd, 2019 at 5 o'clock. There will be no exceptions. They will be date and time stamped. This question has come up before, so we wanted to make it clear. Number 2, please provide the required information at the top of the data sheet, including name, membership number, and account number. All candidates must be property owners. Incomplete data sheets will be returned to the candidate for completion. And there's a special note, and this has also come up in the past. If you have recently acquired property but have not transferred the property to your name, you must do so before the election committee can verify your candidacy. So the records have to match. Please attach your resume to your candidate sheet. Please limit your resume to 250 words so that it fits on the pamphlet that will accompany each ballot. This is each candidate's opportunity to tell the voting membership why you want to run and what you can offer to the association as a director. Each candidate will be required to supply 2 representatives to assist the election committee with the preparation of ballots for mailing. Please direct questions to any member of the election committee. Thank you for your interest in moving Fort Clark Springs Association forward into the future. And to repeat, the election committee consists of myself, Sandy Hagan, Judy Winchell, Mary Frances Partlow, Lisa Vale, and Dennis Stephenson. Does the board have any questions?
Thank you, Sandy.
You're welcome.
Well organized. Equine Committee.
Good morning. The Equine Committee met last week, and the purpose of that meeting was to let 2 new members begin the process of being part of the committee. A couple of people didn't know one person, and none of us knew the second person. So we all got together, and we spent the evening basically going around the room talking about our experiences with horses so that we could get to know each other. Went very well. I think it'll be a nice group. I think we'll work well together. We are prepared to go to work as soon as you have whatever it is you want to hand to us to work on, and I'd like to get it done. We have a meeting scheduled for December 4th to go to get together, make decisions, hopefully, so we can get this back in your corner before the next board meeting. Any questions?
Thank you. Golf Committee.
Cash did want me to make a note that the golf course is starting, the men's club is starting to have a few tournaments to help bring more golfers in. They had one last weekend, had quite a few out-of-towners come in for it. The golf committee themselves are doing some tournaments, trying to bring in more players. Again, I think we're going to have to really, the amount of golfers because of the rain and the cold is really down. When we get those figures, you're just going to have to remember that it's been awful rainy. As Mr. Lawrence said, or somebody said about that, a piece of equipment that was on the agenda, I think they found another piece of equipment that might be better suited. It's new, never been on a golf course before, for about the same amount of money. There's a little more information that they were trying to get before they get this actually approved. The actual golf committee has not met themselves, but they should be starting to meet to start organizing their bigger Los Morris tournament in March. So that is at least some type of a report.
Thank you. Good report. Preservation Committee.
Good morning. As you know, we've got 2 major projects that are ongoing: the Seminole Hall windows, the repair of those, replacement and repair, and the Dickman Hall awning. The Dickman Hall awning, I'm expecting my first bid early next week, and I'm going to Del Rio next week and go face-to-face with at least 2 companies and try to get bids from those so we can get a minimum of 3 bids. And of course, as soon as we get those, we'll go through the process and submit those to you for your approval. The second is the Seminole Hall windows. We originally had just thought we'd do the awning first and then the windows later because to watch the money, but because the awning's moving so slow and we think we can move a lot faster with the windows, we're going to go ahead and do those simultaneously with getting bids for the awning. At the same time, keeping an eye on how much money we have at this point. So that's pretty much where we stand. As soon as we get those bids in and we look at them and make our decision, then submit that to the board, then that'll be pretty much it.
Was there something said about a leak upstairs at Dickman Hall?
Yes,
Besides that?
Yes, there's a pretty good sized leak, but we were advised, one of our members was advised this week that the board is taking care of that, the maintenance is taking care of that, and that we should step back. So that's what we're doing.
I didn't get the minutes of the meeting, so
Sure.
I didn't have them to send to everybody.
No problem.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Thank you, Bill.
Okay, thanks.
And recycling.
Good morning. We were going to have 40 large cartons shipped yesterday. But as a twist of fate, the truck that was coming went to Austin. So that was canceled. And hopefully next Wednesday this will happen. We're going to have a second truck come for the cardboard that's in the maintenance shop. Those will work out fine because there's no connection right now with bales of cardboard and the stuff that's in the recycle center. One big problem is the forklift. It has a leak of hydraulic fluid, so it's going down, but we could still use the forklift. So they tell me. So hopefully that's going to be fixed soon. And the other, just to make sure everybody understands, we're not going to be open tomorrow, which is the usual Thursday, and we're not going to be open Saturday, so for the Thanksgiving holiday. That's it.
Thank you, Helena. That concludes the committee report, so we now will look for a report from the community council.
Good morning.
Morning.
Community Council met on the 10th, and we discussed movie night. We showed Darkest Hour on the 10th with good attendance. We were showing the classic White Christmas with Danny Kaye and Bing Crosby on Saturday, December 15th. We have a 4 p.m. and a 7 p.m. showing. Members will be encouraged to dress up and sing along if they like. We have scheduled the elementary school show of How the Grinch Stole Christmas for Thursday, December 20th, pending board approval. This will be our 3rd year of hosting the students. Excuse me. Since the board, since we've had the pre-registration requirement, we've only had one person pre-register for the movies, and that person was staying at the campground, so we really didn't need the approval. They didn't need to pre-register. So we are on the agenda to ask the board today to allow us to have an open gate without the pre-registration. We hope this will be approved. We also discussed the need for more volunteers for movie night in order for us to continue them. Our open house is scheduled for this Saturday from 10 to 2. We've heard from most all the clubs and committees, so we should have a good attendance there. And we hope that the members will come out and avail themselves of all the information and some free food. Excuse me. Allergies. There will be free pork sliders, jambalaya, but we are asking for donations for Fort Clark Days. FCSA will have a table with lots of information from venue rentals to hunt dates, along with all the other committees, so please stop by. Also, the Arts and Crafts, the art club is having theirs. I just throw that in. We're all having that at the same time, so come out for all of that. Ghostly Tours had a good turnout. Although the turnout was down between delay of advertising and not having a haunted house, we did have a good turnout for for everything. There was a big full color spread in the Del Rio magazine about the hauntings on the fort and the ghostly tours. So I think that really helped promote the fort and our annual ghostly tours, and we want to thank Katie Brown for that. She got that article. This is Allison's last year as the ghostly tours, and I just wanted to say thank you to her for all of her hard work and leadership on that. A suggestion was made also to do tours like the Halloween, only for Christmas with carolers and lights. Just throw out there, but you know, that takes volunteers. Elections will be held for community council in January. Our vice president, secretary, and treasurer are all coming off in January. The VP and secretary are 2-year terms in this cycle, and the treasurer's term is only 1 because of a carryover. So we meet only 4 times a year, and if anyone is interested in community council or know of someone, please let us know. Deadline for candidates is December 30th, and this is for community council elections, not the board elections. We had member concerns. We had questions and concerns that were brought up about our tax assessment and when they're being paid. If paid in October, there's a 3% discount. It was stated that we pay them, that is when we pay them. That was stated by a board member. But there were questions about this year's payment not being made. Concerns were brought up about the dispatch that Mr. Lawrence sent out calling out members and whether it was addressed, and concerns about the fact that there have been no response, personal or otherwise, to those members that sent letters with their concerns or to the membership in general. There was also concerns and questions about document requests not being responded to, and the board was and I'm so sorry, and that the board was retaining a lawyer because of these requests. Members are still having trouble receiving dispatches. I have talked with Christina and have posted on our community council page to contact her directly if they're still not receiving it. Requests for dates of the hunt will be published online so that members would know when the trails would be closed. And I did talk with Matt, and we posted them on the community council page. Requests from members to be, requests from members to be more consistent about the closing of the gate at the end of Fort Clark Road. At dusk, there's a gate back there, and I guess it doesn't always get closed at dusk, and people they've been dumping back there, so there were some concerns about that. And then the last thing we had at our meeting was that we will be scheduling a meet the candidates for the board of directors meeting, board of directors election, and we have set a tentative date of February 9th at 9 a.m. for prospective candidates for meet the candidates. And that is all I have. If you have any questions.
Thank you, Liz. We now move to the members' comments on any action items.
I do have a Fort Clark Days report. Sorry that you said we tag on after mine, so sorry about that.
Okay. Move back to Fort Clark Days from Sharon.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Really nothing new to report. I just kind of wanted to recap. We have printouts of activities that we're planning on having. If y'all would like to keep one in your, in your folder for reference. Thank you. Bill. And our dance is this Friday night, and we're hoping we have a good turnout. We're going to have a fire in the fire pit down at the RV park. We're going to roast marshmallows if you want them, and we're encouraging everybody to get up and dance and have a good time. The Valentine's thing that we had planned on the list there, we're not going to do. Diane has plans for Valentine's Day, and we don't want to interfere with what she has planned. Everything else is going to be kind of on the back burner until we see how things go with the dance. But as we progress, you will all be informed of what our next step is going to be as far as fundraisers go. So, anybody have any questions?
So you're not postponing that totally, or you are postponing, or don't want it,
What?
the Valentine's Day?
No, we're not going to do anything because Diane has plans, and we don't want to interfere with her plans. We don't want to rain on her parade, so to speak.
Last year we had bad weather and things didn't turn out too well financially, but it's always a matter of promoting the event. How's that coming? You have a marketing plan?
Our promoter, who's not here today, hasn't done any advertising so far. So we're kind of going to take it upon ourselves and start getting the word out and getting in some publications.
Well, thank you for all the work and hassle you go through.
Yeah, it's a hassle, yeah. If our volunteers would just follow through and do what they're supposed to, everything would be all right. But don't volunteer for a committee if you're not going to show up to the meetings and participate. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Sharon.
Oh, Sharon,
Ma'am.
I was just asked, who's Diane? Whose parade are we not?
I don't know what Diane's last name is. Ed Dickman.
Okay, that's what they want.
Pardon me?
JAS.
Diane Hasso is.
Yeah, I don't know her last name,
is
but
our
Diane.
But not everybody does. But you meant Dickman Hall.
Well, I'm sorry.
Diane Hasso is our bartender.
Yeah.
And she has the license under which you will be allowed
Correct.
alcohol on the premises, but she will be acting not as a Ford employee, but as an employee of the community council. Is that correct?
That's correct. She's going to be working the dance Friday night because we need a TABC agent there. And Judy Winchell made a large donation to pay Diane to work that event. So we will have our agent there, and that was one of the requirements, that we have an agent at the dance. And other than that, we are planning a New Year's Eve dance at Dickman Lounge. And we'll know more by the end of next week. And we'll keep you all posted as to what we're doing. Okay?
Thank you, Sharon.
All righty. Thank you all.
Mr. Sullivan, can I just make one quick comment?
Sure.
I just want to thank Mr. Hope. He gave us a cooler to raffle off at the Hunters. Thank you. And we made $461 raffling off that cooler. Yay! So that money, along with our contribution, we have one financial contribution as well, completely pays for this dance. So the dance will be pure profit. We will roll it over to the New Year's dance, and then we will roll that over towards a concert on the museum porch Friday night of Fort Clark Days. So thank you very much for your generosity. Gave us a sort of kick in the pants. And if you could all come and just try and have a good time this Friday night, we'd really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. And what did the cooler contain?
Well, we made it into a redneck raffle.
Must have been something.
And because these guys had a fabulously, bigger with a hide, and we had burlap and chewing gum in ours.
Thank you, Linda.
Okay, now we can move on to members' comments on the action items posed here.
Good morning. Happy holidays, everybody. So my question is, when it comes to the equine, now we all know it's no secret that I was the director of operations here. So I'm curious, what is going on? Why are you going after the equine committee or club? $400 a month in charges, and why is it not equal across the board? Whenever I went to go change things as a director, it's going to be fair across the board. Airport, art, community council, all of it. So I'm wondering, I'm really curious, whenever the equine pays for their own electricity, their own water, their own mowing, they were the only ones back then that paid monthly the $50, not the art club. And I'm also curious, why is it we have a committee when you already have a horse club? So we're going to have a committee for the gun club, and I don't have a gun? So I'm can you please help explain this to me? Somebody. And I understand that we want to have better stalls, we want it to be clean, we want these things. I'm curious why we want to open this up to people who don't have horses to come in. And why are you not referring to the actual horse owners as to what they want at the horse club?
Part of the reason is, and I'm not completely familiar, Jody, with it, but what I can tell you what I am aware of, there was much dissension in the past about it, and there were procedures that taken by the horse club that were in violation of our governing documents. And so in order to try to establish a good working relationship between the association and the horse club, the Equine Committee was formed. And it consists mostly, I think, to my knowledge, of horse club members that are actually on that committee. Did originally, maybe one or two are not. That's all I can tell you.
Well, I did watch a video that stated the question came up whenever somebody didn't own a horse at that meeting, and I think it was stated if it has 4 legs and it poops out its butt, I think, something of that nature, then they know.
That's what it said.
Something to the. I mean,
don't think it said
it was
that.
pretty.
I don't think it said that.
Well, you get the gist. It was pretty ridiculous.
I think it just said if it had
Right.
4 legs.
If it had 4
Didn't
legs
say
and it
nothing
walked.
about the other.
Oh, it didn't?
No, it
It's still
didn't.
ridiculous comment, is my point.
Whatever
So,
you think.
okay. So again, I'm curious as to if the horse club
The point was, ma'am.
Oh, yes, sir.
The point was
Yes, sir.
that we was inviting anybody that wanted to volunteer to step up and volunteer.
You already have a horse club, though.
And nobody volunteered.
They have a horse club.
And I invited them to come to this meeting and volunteer if they wanted on that committee.
So you're going to invite the horse club if they want to be on the horse committee.
If they wanted to be on the econ.
So if the gun club has their own gun club members, and then they're going to be invited to be on a gun committee? Is that
You'll
right?
have to talk to the gun club
All
about
right.
that.
So my point is it $400 a month? It's $4,800 a year. What are you charging the other clubs? The Aero Club pays nothing. So I want to know that $7,800 back when I was the DO, it was $7,800 a year in taxes and property taxes for the Aero Club. I'm curious, and I'm also curious. I know that the president of the horse club came to you and was asking to negotiate upon the terms. So I'm curious as to what is the specific interest in the horse club. Is it a personal agenda? Is it just talk to the horse club? If it's something that to get to the bottom of what you're after.
I think what we were after was compliance with our governing documents, not to try to exclude a member who doesn't happen to live on the fort. That was one of the issues there. And I believe, if I was reading right, the proposal that you're talking about, this most recent proposal that came from the horse club, I think they were proposing to pay, I believe, $10 a month per horse. $10 a month per horse to stable a horse. I'm sure that with your equine experience, you're well aware of I doubt if there's any place in the country that you could find that. It's usually $60 to $75 a month. And so that didn't seem like a good faith proposal to me.
So is that the proposal?
We did change it to request it to go to $10 a horse.
So reduce down?
Yes, because we used to pay $5 per horse until last year's proposal when they changed it to $400 a month for the whole barn, no matter how many horses are in that barn if we've lost 6 horses.
Now, does that make sense? If you only have 5 horses and then you're not collecting that, so how are they going to pay it?
You're apparently not very well informed.
I'm not well informed?
That's what I'm saying, that you're not well informed.
You can't even produce financials, and I'm not informed?
Okay, so this has become
I'm just kidding.
This has become an opportunity to bash, and I'm not going to stand for it. I will tell you this: there are two proposals that have been put in front of the board for the board to decide. The first proposal was that which was submitted by the horse club. It was presented to the board untouched. A second proposal was one that I designed. It's an alternative to a contract with the horse club and simply a contract, a facility use agreement with the horse owner. There were no charges.
Did you ask us of the other clubs? Why are we not going after the other clubs? Bill, you know
have a
what right well.
presumption that I'm going after, which is not only insulting, it's wrong.
Okay, then why are you not doing the same thing?
Are
you doing done? Won't you work on getting an HR person so you can be fair to your staff?
Listen, I understand what you're doing. Everybody understands what you're doing.
We all understand what you're doing.
Do you?
All right, I'm going to call an end to this discussion. This discussion is over. Is there anyone else?
Is this the next up? Next up? All right. All right, my name's Nikki Simon, and I just have, I don't know what the role of the community council is. And also, you said that you put stuff on Facebook. I don't have Facebook, so I'm not informed of anything. So I have previously asked the HQ dispatch down there at the bottom. It says if you have any comments, questions, or suggestions. I have done it numerous times. I've said, for people who don't have Facebook or other social media, could you please inform the people through the HQ dispatch of anything that's going on that people don't have Facebook? That to this day has not been done. My request again is, if things are being put on Facebook that deals with community council or other volunteer services or anything like that, can they not go in the HQ dispatch so other people are also informed on the board?
Do I understand this right? That you want the HQ dispatch to rebroadcast whatever any social media is saying out there?
No, that's not what you're saying. Like she said that on Facebook for community council, she had some information out there that, right? Didn't you just say that a few minutes ago?
If
All
you
right.
want volunteers or you have something happening for
An
community
event.
councils, any of the clubs or anything, put it
You
in
want,
the
you want
dispatch.
to advertise that they need volunteers and...
Anything that...
A dance, whatever,
I
put it
think
in the
we-
dispatch so the people that don't have Facebook get informed. That's
No,
what she's
that's
asking.
a fine
I have
idea.
asked for
We've tried
over
to do
a
that.
year for that.
Mr.
And I
Mr.
still
Sullivan,
have not.
we post everything that the community council gives to us to post. I don't understand what the issue is.
Well, then maybe...
We
Don't
post
ask me,
everything
but I was
that the
just-
community council asks us to post, we post it.
Well, I can tell you not everything is, because whatever she
Well,
just spoke about was,
everything
has
that's
not
given to
been.
us is
So-
posted.
And then also, when the community council has fundraisers, is any of that money dispatched to the fort, to the association? How does that work? I don't know what community
Well, the
council
community
does.
council does a fundraiser, the funds go to the community council or whomever they designate to get the funds or a portion of the funds.
Okay.
So that's,
So what is the role of community council?
Community council is an entity by itself. It is not a fort entity. It is, what do you call it, 501c3. It is its own organization. The fort board does not.
What are their
The
functions?
fort does not, I'll ask you to ask them that because recently that has changed.
Okay.
But the fort board does not manage or control or oversee community council.
Okay, so can the lady over community council come up and give the function so I understand?
Why don't you meet with her afterwards and you'll understand?
Well, why?
this,
It's on the internet.
what's on the agenda are the requests of the community council that we're dealing, not the inner workings and makeup structure,
Well, I'm just-
organization of the community council. And I appreciate,
No, but to understand their request for help, money, or to be eliminated partially from certain things, I just want to totally understand what their role is, what it is to this, because I don't understand. I was a part-time person who lives here,
Meet
so.
with the community council people and ask them for their bylaws.
Okay,
thank you.
thank you. I don't know your name.
Okay, on your action items, I guess because you guys are getting ready to make a decision about spending some money, and I think what people are wanting to know, I love the community council because without them, it looks like we really don't have anything to offer the members. But my question is, before you guys start writing checks and approving to go to community council, do you guys in your board packet know how many family recreation memberships we have?
I couldn't quite understand.
How many family recreation memberships currently do we have?
How many FRM memberships? I don't have that in front of me, but you can consult.
No, it's in your board packet, because I used to produce that. It should be in your board packet.
Rihanna, you can check with the membership department for that question.
Well, okay, but this is where it's kind of important that you guys need to ask questions, because since community council started opening the gate up, which I'm all for anyone to come here, but the problem is if, and we allow everyone can get a family recreation membership and pay $40 a month and can contribute. We didn't get our discount.
Up front, how much you have to pay up front? Man, 157.
140. Well, that's your first month. But you're including 170. It's 170 and it's 170 now. What I'm saying is, have the memberships gone down now that it's been open to the public? Because y'all's job is to bring in more revenue through other sources. Because if not, it's just going on the people that live here, the backs of us. So make it why do people want to buy an FRM? To swim 3 months out of the year? There's no more teen center. The adult center looks like crap. I'm just saying, like I said, I appreciate the community council. But like you said, y'all don't even get anything. What does Fort Clark benefit? Community council benefits from it. But what does the members in Fort Clark get from it?
Do you believe that the Fort Clark doesn't benefit at all from what the community council does in their work?
And that's what I wanted you to see. If you can see an incline of how many FRMs, because you're allowed to have 2,000 FRMs. So if you as board members can see, is this working by us opening the gate to everybody? And then if all of a sudden you're seeing an influx or a deflux, that's your job. You need to see where the revenue's coming. Because October 31st comes every year. And right now, I didn't pay my dues. You can float it. Make it an incentive. Why should people pay early? Because that's what they used to do. I just dropped $2,600, but I waited. You need to make people want to be a member. And give a Fort Clark Springs hat if you decide to pay your dues a year ahead. That's how you pay your taxes in October. And by you saying we're not penalized, it is a penalty.
Okay, just a comment. The comment is that, and I've taken a neutral position, but the open gate for non-members is for a couple of special events. It's not overall.
I understand.
They cannot come in all summer long and swim in the pool without an FRM membership.
I'm not trying to make this place elite. We want people to buy memberships. How, as a board, are you promoting that? I want them all to come in.
That has nothing to do with this action item, Rihanna.
It does, because you're getting ready to write a check out of the money that we don't have because you don't even pay the taxes on time. So it does affect us.
No, I differ with that comment that we don't pay our taxes on time. If they're paid by
if you get a discount,
31st,
get the discount. You made our rates go up. I didn't want to give you my extra $2 because you're not making wise decisions with my money.
Okay, thank you.
Dismissed. I don't know for sure. I don't think we have an open gate.
Well, what I'm just saying is we need more revenue just on the people.
I agree, 100%.
But I don't see any promotion. I mean, there's no teen center anymore. The adult center, it just looks. It's hard now that I sell property. It's hard to sell the fort. You want it to be special, and you want to allow people to come in. So why should we pay $40 a month? Make people want to be a member.
I think that's a great idea.
He said he thinks that's a great idea.
I think it's a great idea.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yes, ma'am.
Judy.
That's okay.
My name is Kathleen Warm. Dan.
You know that I have problems.
Okay, fine.
Sorry.
First of all, I apologize. This is really not an action item, but I would like to do a little bit of clarification because I am the Secretary of Community Council. Okay. We had our meeting, and as Lisa said, we were informed there was a member that was very concerned about paying your taxes by October 31st, the property tax. I'm sure most of us, if we can afford it, we do it, but we make sure we do it to save the interest rate. We were informed that yes, the fort does pay the property tax by October 31st, and what they do is they do a little bit of bookkeeping so that it saves money. Okay. Now, Dan, you says we don't pay until December. So there's a little bit of discontinuity, and I just need a little bit of clarification, like everybody's concerned. Do we pay them by the 31st of October to save that interest, or do we float it until December 31st?
As I pointed out, we do not pay them, and let me be corrected by the executive officer and comptroller if I'm wrong, we do not pay them by the end of October, because quite frankly, we don't have that $140,000 cash laying on hand available to do it with. And they are paid in December, prior to December 31st, to the best of my knowledge. And what we lose is a discount, but you give me a suggestion on how else we can do it.
Well, Dan, I'm sorry, if you're a board trustee, you have fiduciary responsibilities, and you should know when the taxes are paid. And the comptroller, and I don't know this gentleman, maybe he is a comptroller, but if not, I said, what somebody's I'm not going to get, I don't want to get arguing, but somebody's misinformed. Either they are paid or they're not paid. And I want to make sure that my notes for community council are correct.
I was the one who said it and I misstated. I apologize.
That's fine. That's just fine. We want to, okay? That's just perfect. That's all I'm asking for. I don't like rumors at all. And then my next one is very quickly for this gentleman here. Like, I don't know who you are. Are you the comptroller?
I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Andrew Smullen. He is our comptroller.
Okay. Hi. Never mind. I'm not always here, but when I'm here, everybody knows it. I'm on 2 boards also. I know the fiduciary responsibilities of being a board member. If our comptroller, and we're doing a major software program on one of the boards that I'm on, we're talking big time. If our comptroller could not produce any kind of a record for September or that far back, our board would be really
I'm going to interrupt
upset.
you.
Yes.
I'm not going to let you dress down the comptroller for a job done or not done at this point. As I said before, and of course this is not one of the agenda items.
I agree.
By the way,
I told you, and thank you for putting up with me.
But what I'm saying to you is that we have hired a CPA with forensic credentials as well, so that he can come and repair a mess that has been probably 2 decades in the making.
I agree.
That is not going to happen overnight. The financials that you want to have for September end of year, or for even October at this point in time, is too much to ask when you have no idea what the condition of those books are and have been in for many years. As I said before, our objective is to cure the ill. Those who stand before you right now are not the ones who created the problems. The ones who stand before you now are the ones who are going to fix the problem. And we're going to fix it in the time that it takes to fix it. We cannot tell you when exactly that's going to be, but we're going to do it. That's our commitment to you. Finally, after 20 years or more, we're going to have good financials.
I agree. We've been coming down here since 1982, but I think it would be nice a little bit if Debbie at least had some kind of a estimate or whatever. But I agree with you. Okay, that's all I had. And I thank you. It's not, I would stay after the executive meeting to talk about member business, but my only comment would be maybe the executive meeting could be done after or before the meeting starts. But I agree. Thank you. It's not an action item, but I wanted to get the clarification.
All right, thank you, Kathy.
Yes.
I'll be quick because I don't want a back and forth, but our agenda items are up for a vote. And community council, I know it's confusing to a lot of people, but for the action items that are coming up, Fort Clark Days is a fundraiser that goes to the preservation of the fort and goes to the preservation committee. So, I mean, we can talk movies any other time you want, but this event is the signature event. Not only does it market the fort, because we reach out, beyond our community, it's a marketing event for the fort, and it's a fundraiser for preservation of the fort and education of our history. So I'm asking the board, for their approval. And if anybody has any questions about what we do, please see me, and I'll talk to anybody about.
Thank you, Lisa.
Good morning, my name is Ronnie Land, and I'm probably one of the lowliest members in the room here today. I've been coming out here for 25 years to the RV park. I'm a very dedicated patron to that RV park. I would like to appeal to y'all today. Over the years, I see the park regressing. The RV park is one of the areas where I feel like we make a little money on the place here. And y'all, what we want at the park, we have a lot of pride out there. And we take pride in that park. We try to take care of it, keep it up. But when I got out there this time this year, the Wi-Fi has been turned off. There's no internet, Wi-Fi or anything. The cable TV has been turned off, none of that. And it seems like we're just losing our pride in something that's very important to the fort here. If we run a play, and I really respect what y'all do. I've been on boards like this, and y'all have a hard task. But I'm appealing to you, please help us keep up that little RV park. It brings people in here that spend money in the community.
Sir?
And I'm just a hunter. I'm lowly of the bunch.
Sir, we appreciate you, and I appreciate you coming forth those concerns there. You're not the first one to express them. There is a process going on right now that includes a report from an RV ad hoc committee that looked into it, and a number of items will be dealt with, and so I would ask you for patience until we get reworked all these recommendations from 3 different committees, including the RV park, into one unit, and we'll see what we can do. Some of the amenities that you find lacking may be able to be restored, but at a cost. And I believe you can get internet now. You just need to subscribe to it for $40 a month.
It's if you got 2 people in the trailer with 2 cell phones, it's $39.95 per person. And the service is not that good either. And before it was that was part of our fees. And let me throw out a recommendation there that you could increase what the rate is there by a couple of dollars and take care of that.
Well,
and it'd be better than losing our pride and losing the things that we've always had there.
All right.
Y'all please help us.
What's your last
Thank
name?
you.
Ronnie Land.
L-A-N-D?
L-A-N-D.
Thank you.
And I've been coming out here a long time, and I love this place. And we need to keep pride in this place. RV Park, we're a small entity out here, but we do make a little money for y'all.
Thank you. We gotta get the turkey in the oven. All right, we'll now move to the action items. The first one is Community Council request to hold fundraising events and to receive sponsorship from the Association for Fort Clark Days.
I'll make a motion that we discuss it.
Well, we can discuss it without a motion.
Okay.
So, any comments?
I was trying to see, and I know last year I think the fort gave $5,000, I believe, and I don't know if it was earmarked for any one thing or anything.
Insurance?
The $5,000 was an estimate of the total contribution, included all things.
Okay, so then now they're asking for some more items to be. I just done a quick thing myself of what the venues themselves would cost. I wasn't sure how much the insurance was. I think I kind of threw it out there. But is that in our budget, that money that we normally give?
There's an allocation for it.
The only thing I found was $3,500 for donations or something.
The budget.
I've got a copy of the budget. I looked at it twice and I couldn't find where that was actually. I couldn't find it where it was actually in our budget as, because the only thing as far as donations or anything was $3,500.
I think maybe part of the reason is that those are non-cash contributions, as I understand them.
Well, it's $5,000 to help pay for insurance. How could that be non-cash?
I don't know.
The insurance is, I think, more in the line of $2,500, yeah.
Okay, now they're asking for some more money for these special events.
Yes.
I just, when I done that calculation as far as what we would be given, including the venues, the buildings, and everything else, it looks like, and why I'm bringing this up is because the next party that wants these same buildings and everything, how are we going to tell them no? It looks like $7,888 with the things that they're all asking to put on here again. I do know very well what community council has paid to the Historic Building Restoration Group, but it looks like since 2012, when Fort Clark started donating money to help fund this event, those figures have gone down and down and down and down. I do know that volunteers aren't stepping up to the plate as they did. Like Ms. Sharon back there said earlier, that people sign up for a job, then they don't follow through with it. So whoever's in charge of the whole event, they get stuck with trying to explain it and where the money's coming from. So at the last minute, the 2 weeks before the event, there's no fundraising happening. There's nobody taking care of entertainment. There's nobody standing up to the plate to come out there and volunteer and sell your items that you're trying to raffle or anything else. That's not your fault if you're putting the event on, because your volunteers never stepped up. But it seems like that ever since Fort Clark, and I want to say probably 2012, 2013, that has just gone down and down and down, because I have a full figure of what back in 2008, $14,000 was made profit after we paid for the event. Fort Clark didn't do nothing but give us the actual couple of buildings we used at that point. 2009, it was $12,973. 2010, it was $8,462. 2011, it was $12,751. And that was 2011. 2012, it was $9,000. And in 2013, I think that's when the Fort started coming in and helping fund the event. It went down to $8,936. 2014, $4,470. 2015, $5,000. 2016, $3,828. 2017, $2,713. And 2018, $175. So, again, I know the volunteers there. I know nobody has helped, because the last time I tried to help with it, nobody showed up to even help sell the chances. No entertainment was done. So, again, I get where they have in the past when we did have the volunteers and did what we needed to do. But, again, when you're asking for $7,800 and something dollars, how do we tell the next person no? The next group that wants to do something, how do we tell those people no? I get that it's bringing in, Fort Clark Days is a wonderful thing, don't get me wrong, but I hear you only want people that make the items. You're not bringing vendors in to really sell anything, which was used to be a big money maker. The food vendors, we used to have all kinds of food vendors. I didn't go last year because I don't think I was here. But if you're limiting your vendors, how are we going to make money there? So, I really don't see anything for Clark Days at the day of the event, except for parking, that's really out there to make any money. It's just my points.
That's your argument. I take that you're not in favor of...
Well, I just wanted to throw it out there because the cost keeps going up to Fort Clark, and when you look at it, it's $7,000.
Is that $7,800 actual out of
That is
cash?
No, but it is the venues, it's the buildings. We eat all the electric and the water.
Motel rooms, RV units.
Yes, that's my point. It is RV because they're asking for 7 RV, or 7 motel, 3 RV. So that's something that that we could have rented out, but we're giving it away. I don't know, I just,
Well, if you.
I'm not saying I'm not for the event, I'm just saying it's starting to cost more and more and more out of the membership. And again, we charged our members that new raise on their assessments and stuff.
What would you suggest?
I would say that Fort Clark Days is not what it used to be. Back in the 2011, it was a big event, and it's gone downhill, and I don't know exactly why. What do you get out of it besides the history, the advertising? That's what you have to look at. Are we gonna get benefit out of doing this, out of spending this money?
As to
Is
say
it an
the
advertising project, or where we're going to get people to come in? And it used to be a lot of people came for Fort Clark Days. A lot of people. So I don't know. I mean, in other words, what do we want to do with it? I understand that it's not a Fort event. It's put on by a different organization besides us. What do you say? What do you feel about that? You're scratching your head. Tell me what you're thinking.
Well, I'm thinking that the board's in a bit of a pickle trying to figure out the best thing to do. What I hear being suggested is that that Fort Clark Springs is contributing to the Fort Clark Days event something in the neighborhood of either $5,500 to $7,800. And now the question is being asked: what is the benefit? Is there an equal benefit to the cost?
Right.
And so one also has to consider that if the fort does not make these contributions, what impact will that have on Fort Clark Days? And my guess is it would probably dwindle to nothing if the Fort Clark doesn't provide this rather substantial support. Is the fort, another question may be, is Fort Clark in it for the money, as has been suggested? That we should, if the gate's going to be open, it should be bringing in revenue. Is the fort interested in that as a revenue producing event, or is it wanting to continue tradition of this day, our heritage and the like? So these are questions that I think that the board is going to have to answer if it's going to continue to provide what seems to be increasing support.
I think the way this has to be looked at is not as a profit and loss statement, because that's going to be a loser all the time. The way it is now, how successful the event is out of our control. That's up to the community council and the membership as a whole as to how they're willing to volunteer and participate and make it work, make it go. If they're not willing to do that, it isn't going to go, but then that's also a message from the membership saying we're not that interested in it. But I think any expenditures that the fort has to be looked at a promotional cost. Do we want to spend that much money to promote the association and the fort? You're not going to be able to whittle it down to a point where you say, well, we put out $7,000 and we're able to take in $10,000. It's not going to happen.
No.
So, do we want to spend a certain amount of money to promote the fort by making sure Fort Clark Days happens? Or do we want to walk away, wash our hands of it, and say we'll take no part in it? That's the question.
That is the question. But it does promote the fort, and it does used to bring a lot of people from all over counties, all over Texas, to see Fort Clark Days.
But it was also, you talk about used to be, if I'm not mistaken, I've only been here for 2 or 3 years. My understanding is that Fort Clark Days was very heavily promoted. It was very heavily
We
marketed.
did a lot of promotion.
That there was an awful lot of solicitation of donations from corporate donations and things. So
That's true.
that was the way that it was being supported. But my understanding now from what Ms. Gregoric had said is that it's not being marketed and additional funds are not being solicited. So
I can say in 2017, according to what I'm thinking it was 17, I actually had gotten upset with things, how they were going. One of your employees came up and took it on because nobody else would take on the sponsorship of it. And I went out and helped her. And we did not have, the person that was supposed to go out and get donations never showed up. So your employee was out here soliciting, trying to help fund this thing. That's the year it brought in $2,713, 60% of the 100% in community council. Also that year, nobody from Fort come up and ever asked to man that t-shirt booth or sell the chances on the stuff that we got donated to raise money. Not one person. And if it hadn't been for an out-of-town friend that had came, I don't know how we would have sold those items. I don't. And it was a shame that when you asked the president of community council at that time, well, I'm going home to take a nap because I've got to come back here and sell our chili. And somebody else is sitting over here trying to make money and help a friend out. That's wrong. It is. It's the entertainment. Nobody showed up to do entertainment. They had somebody on the list, but they never showed. That doesn't say much for your volunteers or really wanting to do something for Fort Clark Springs in itself. I'm sorry.
Well, that's, of course, brings us back to the question.
I understand.
Are we going to...
I say it was told last year at $5,000. The board at that point in time went ahead and said $5,000. I say let's just leave it at the $5,000.
Okay, are you making a motion that we approve our support for the community council's Fort Clark Days up to a maximum of $5,000 in both goods and cash?
I do, but I've got another question. You said back on the last month, Mr. Lawrence, on the insurance for beer or liquor on the fort at these events, that even if it was a BYOB, that the fort would be responsible if somebody went out that gate and had. So we don't need that special liquor?
No. Indeed we do. And for these dances, I believe that they have or are prepared to purchase the insurance that would cover the alcohol, BYOB or what have you. And that cost is $175 if there is a person with TABC credentials on premise, you see. And so
that's where Diane comes in.
That's where Diane comes in.
But is she going to be selling it? I mean,
she's not going to be selling. She's not going to be selling.
Okay.
But she has to be on the premises. All right? And presumably she will monitor individuals' intake, but I'm not sure what she's going to be able to do about it. But again, I want it very clear and on the record that she is acting not as a Fort Clark employee.
Just because she has the TABC.
She's there being hired by a community council because she has those credentials.
Thanks for that clarification, because I was kind of confused after our last discussion.
And it was going to be that it was $350, I believe, each event if there was not someone there.
Thanks. That helped clarify that issue with me.
All right. Do we have the motion to approve the association supporting the community council for Fort Clark Days to a maximum of $5,000, including both cash and called services, facilities?
Facility, yeah, facilities, goods, cash, but I do need to ask a question about that.
Well, let's get the motion on the table. Someone make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
If you're okay. The motion is made by Deborah Isaacs that we support Fort Clark Days to a maximum of $5,000, including facilities, services, and cash. Is there a second to that motion?
Okay, I'll second it.
You second it, John?
Yeah, I'm gonna second it for where we can talk about it.
Okay, let's have a discussion and let's try to keep it focused on the motion. John, you want to speak to it?
I know, it's not easy.
No, it's not easy.
It's not easy. It's not an easy
I'm a
decision.
history bug anyhow, so I love Fort Clark days. But I'm also on this board to represent everybody that lives here, and I don't know that how we're gonna spend money and go up on assessments without their blessings. That's basically it. I would love a show of hands. How many people in this audience want us to spend that $5,000?
That's not a good judgment.
That's not a good judgment? Well, it may not be, but that's what I want.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes.
Or ask a question?
You certainly can.
These organizations that's requesting money, which is basically the membership's money, why are they not, well, is there any way that after the event that they reimburse the Fort membership to a certain percentage or for what was borrowed?
They always did turn.
We used to, yes.
Yeah, they
Used to.
Yeah.
The word is used to.
I understand.
But is that currently being done?
I can't, yes ma'am, answer that for us.
All right.
This is not to be an open discussion. We
I
already have
understand,
members'
but I'm
comments.
trying to get you asked me.
They're trying to help.
We're trying to allow you to
I
offer the
understand.
money to them, but as a fact of reimbursing the membership from
Yes,
their
ma'am.
profits.
Let's see what she's got to say real
All
quick.
of our profits go back to the fort, to the preservation committee. For preservation of the fort, for window replacement, for, and yes,
For the
it has gone
historical
down. I
building.
have been president for only 1 year, and we are working as hard as we can to build back up Fort Clark Days to what it used to be. But, you know, it faltered, and you can't just turn around the next year and say, okay, it's gonna be, we're gonna make $14,000 to back. I would love to give $14,000 to the fort.
And for a 501c3.
You're gonna lose that if you
Or-
don't have.
Community council.
Right, but that's, I mean, that's not the board's.
No, I know.
We're a
Yes,
nonprofit, and it's not the board's.
Okay, but that answers the question. Yes, sir.
I think,
Last
ahead.
year, we almost lost Fort Clark Days, and
Yes, we did.
if we if we dropped it 1 year, we'd lose all of the historians
That's true.
that we have coming in.
That's very true.
If we start from scratch, here it is.
Yes, sir.
again.
Yes, ma'am.
We haven't been doing a whole lot of fundraising. We have one individual who's in charge of that and doesn't seem to have it together. Thank you. So that became apparent at the meeting the other night. So I have been focusing on dances and functions and stuff like that. December, I'll go out and start collecting money.
all right, thank you. I think.
Okay, wait just a minute. I'm not through.
Well,
Well.
That's it.
We have been,
you can have
we
all
go
the say
through
you
all
want,
this
John.
stuff. Everybody has their opinion, and y'all are asking me to make a decision, and I'm trying to reach that decision. So just give me just a minute. May I have just a minute?
You may, but you asked for a show of hands, which is
I
fine.
haven't
It's
got a
turning
show of
into a debate among the audience. That's the
Okay.
problem.
That, whatever I
Get your
ask
show
for
of
is
hands.
okay, at least I'm not interrupting everybody. Yes, sir, one more time.
Nope.
We gotta make
Raising my
this
hand
short.
already.
Oh,
Excuse me?
he's voting. He's voting.
You're voting. Okay. Well, I'm gonna say this. I'm willing to give y'all one more year
This year?
this year. to try to put this thing together and show some improvement. Because I will be on this board next year. And I'm willing to step up and help. But we can't keep spending money and not bringing money back in. That's the bottom line. And that's all I'm going to say about it.
So
Thank
can I
you,
just
John.
add
Yes,
one
sir.
quick comment to what you just said?
One quick comment.
I love what you're saying, but I do want to add a but.
Yes, sir.
To increase the revenue on something like this, I used to do an event like this with Border Patrol. I'm not clueless on this.
I understand.
To increase revenue for something like that is going to take more than the time that we have between now and Fort Clark Days. this
Oh, I
year.
understand. But if it can just show a little positive.
I agree with you. I just want to point out that if we want to get back to them being able to donate $14,000, you're going to have to give them
The
to
whole
that next
community
year.
has to step up and work at it.
Agreed. I just wanted to point that out. It's going to take
I
some time to
understand.
get back to those levels. But I love what you're saying. I agree
I
with you.
understand. I put on events,
Bill, do you
other
have any
events, and
comments?
it worked to make money. It's work.
It is work. It's a lot of work.
All right.
Community Council took on the project of Fort Clark Days as, with a bunch of volunteers and for preservation. That was what it was originally. And there was a lot of people here who volunteered and helped because they wanted to. Over the years, the volunteers have, for various reasons, and you all know, have disappeared slowly but surely.
Don't go into the old stuff.
No, I'm not going to mention any names. And people have decided not to get involved anymore, whether it be young people or old people. They just don't want to be involved. They got other things to worry about. So the volunteer base has disappeared, and it's still disappearing. How many committees here are looking for volunteers to help? I'm not talking about just Fort Clark Days or any. How many people are looking for volunteers? Nobody wants to step up. So if you don't have the volunteer base, which what this was based on, your other choice is to either, what's the word I want? Help support it as Fort Clark, period, or you stop it. It's the only reason, the only answers you've got. If it's going to keep costing money to do it, don't do it.
All right, I'm gonna call the question.
All right.
You want the motion repeated?
No.
No? Okay, the motion was to offer support to the community council for Fort Clark Days to a maximum of $5,000, including cash, facilities, and services. All those in favor? Passes 4-0.
Point of clarification, please. That also includes the insurance.
Okay, well, yeah,
That would be the cash part.
but that's a cash
All right, just
payment.
need a clarification. Thank you.
All right,
And I suggest let's get the members out there and see if we can't make this happen this year like it should happen.
If the weather cooperates, everything hinges on the weather.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
all right, moving on to the next item, community council's request for a open gate without pre-registration for movie nights and for fundraising events. I hope we can move through this a little quicker. Comments, Debbie?
I don't have a problem with it, but if a lot of people come in and they're not really going to the movies, will security be alert to some of that maybe? If they're kiddie movies, would these people really be going to a movie if they know it's open gate? I don't know. But like she said, only one person pre-registered before.
And that person was an RV park attendee, which makes them a guest, and they don't have to pre-register.
How can security be any
Yeah,
more
you
alert?
don't have a clue.
I don't either.
Well, they have to, if they
But
don't
those
have
are
a Fort
usually on a
Clark
Friday
sticker,
or Saturday.
they have to pull in there and get a sticker.
Right, they come in, they register as they would normally do. but not pre-registered.
Not
Yeah.
pre-registered.
But they have to
They
register.
come in, they say that they're going to the movie, we have to assume they're going to the movie.
That's right.
Exactly, but if it's a kitty movie and there's no children in the car, they shouldn't be able to come to that game.
I go to the movies and no children in the car.
You live here. I would say, I don't have a problem with it, but if we see excessive people coming in.
Well, you have to have common
You just
sense,
have to control it.
you know. A couple of guys come pulling in there with hoods.
If they're wearing masks, we probably won't let them in,
Reject.
unless it's very cold.
Alright. I'm calling for a vote.
Well, let me
Go ahead.
make a comment. The theater had a play over the weekend. They sold tickets. Some of these people came from out of town. They didn't pre-register at the gate. They just came to the show. And they paid. What's the problem with that? You know, you gotta trust people somehow.
I understand.
If they're gonna say they're going to the movie, and there's no movie, well, you know they don't belong here. But if there's a movie going on, and they wanna come in, and an 85-year-old lady who likes cartoons wants to come to the movie because it's a kid show, who cares?
I'm not 85.
I didn't say that, but you know what I'm getting at. You know, it's,
I'm just thinking.
and it goes back to the statement somebody made about we've got to bring money into Fort Clark. Well, if you're not going to let people come in, how are you going to bring money in?
You know, this, Debbie, you want to make a motion?
I would say we'll open it up for the time being and see how things go. I don't have a problem right now.
Okay, so the motion is to allow an open gate without pre-registration for community councils, movie nights, and other fundraising events.
Well, wait a minute.
Is that,
Other fundraising?
that's what it
Yes.
says?
Yes.
Good damn.
They've got the dance, they've got the open house for other things.
We've already approved the open house.
We already-
Well,
We've already approved that.
okay.
All right, that's the motion made by
I second it.
Treasurer Deborah Isaacs. Is there a second to that motion?
I second it.
Bill Herman seconds the motion. All those in favor? Motion passes. Now moving on. Community Council request for the association to pay half of their insurance cost, which will come to a total cost of $350. That's based on four events.
Four, and we know that one of them has been eliminated.
Yeah. $175 for each one. We pay half, $87.50 times 4 is $350.
But again, the Valentine event was eliminated, so we're only talking about three.
Mr. Lawrence, we're really only talking about one.
Really?
Well, the first one we need it, that's this coming Friday night. I don't believe we need it for New Year's, it's at your bar. And we don't need it for the Fort Clark dance on Friday night because it's, all the insurance covers everything.
Okay.
But isn't this also for Fort Clark Day? Shouldn't that be in the $5,000 figure?
It's already going to be covered by the insurance policy for $2,500 or so.
Well, then that's.
So we're talking $87.50 total.
That's, okay.
$87.50
total for Clark Day.
So we want to change that to 3 fundraising events?
One.
This one?
One for, then the amount is $87.50.
That's what she just said, right?
Of $87.50.
Okay. So may we amend your
Yes,
motion
most definitely.
to state that the association approves paying 1/2 of the liability insurance costs for one community council event to an amount of $87.50. You accept that as a second, Mr. Herman?
Yes, I do.
Okay. All those in favor? All right.
I've got an inspector at a house.
Next, We have a motion to refer the proposed facility use agreements to the stables to the Equine Committee to review and make recommendations to the board.
So moved.
Mr. Herman moves that,
I got some question before we move.
well, can we get the motion on the table?
Okay, all right.
Second it.
All right, the motion is seconded by Mr. Hope, Director Hope, and Director Isaacs will begin the discussion.
First off, if this, and I don't care, I know you say this is not a contract, but an agreement in Webster, an agreement is a contract. And why would we have a committee making recommendations on a contract?
Well,
I know you say it's not a contract, but if you'll read it, it is a contract.
well,
An
that,
agreement is a contract.
they may say that a contract is an agreement. I don't know if an agreement is necessarily a contract, but nevertheless, it's neither here nor there really. The reason I believe, and this is just be my idea that I thought up, the reason it goes to a committee to look at and review is because it can get involved and complicated, particularly in the case of the stables, because it's a unique situation and facility and what needs to be dealt with. So if, rather than us sit here for 2 hours trying to hash out what should be done, we could ask a committee to do that and then come back and recommend it to us. So that's why it's referred to a committee. Would that be fairly accurate?
So we have two
proposed agreements to be looked at by the committee.
Yeah, we have a proposal from the horse club.
Okay.
And a proposal from the association, 2 separate proposals. And we're asking for approval to submit those to an equine committee, not to make any decision on other than to recommendations to the board, and then it comes back and the board decides what they want to do based on their own knowledge and then recommendations.
Okay.
Well, again, I can't be at either one of the meetings as the board liaison. On the 3rd and the 4th, I think the horse club's got one the 3rd, and I think the equine has one on the 4th. I'll be in San Antonio both of those days.
I
And
can
again,
change the one on the 3rd if it needs to be.
huh?
I will change the one on the 3rd to make sure everybody can be at it.
I think if you request ahead of time, they'd be sure they get you minutes of those meetings, and then as a board member, it's going to be brought back to the board. They're not going to make decisions.
Well, and again, I just want to state that you have 3 people that are on the equine committee that has nothing to do with the horse stables at all. They can make recommendations, they can open it up, but yet I have to have insurance and somebody can be in that barn. If they want to open the thing up, a kid gets in my stall and I'm responsible for that kid getting hurt, whether it was my stall or not my stall.
And what does that have to
Do with an agreement? Because you got 3 people making decisions that don't have a vested interest
They
in
aren't
it.
going to make decisions, recommendations.
Well, all right.
So, when is the 2 meetings?
One's the 3rd and one's the 4th. Is that right, Linda? Is that what I?
The 4th, yes. I'm trying to get it back into the board's hands so that for the next meeting we have something, you have something to work with.
Okay, and the 4th is on a Sunday?
Tuesday.
December the 4th.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Okay.
All right, do we have a motion to approve sending forth the 2 proposals to the Equine Committee to review and offer recommendations only back to the board?
So moved.
Mr. Director Herman made the motion. Is there a second?
I'll
second it.
Director Hope seconds the motion. All those in favor? Opposed? Passes 3-1. Okay, the last action item has been removed, so it's not there. That has to do with the gang bar on the golf course. So I really don't need a motion to adjourn, but I would like one.
Make a motion to adjourn to executive session at 11.
I'd like to commend whoever put these minutes on the security stuff and the memberships who have been given back and stuff. That's very helpful information. I appreciate that in our packets.
We're trying to keep it up.
I'm at the meeting.
All right. You second the motion, John? Motion is moved and second. All in favor of adjourning to executive session?
You're not gonna have your 5 years, 15
We,
minutes.
if I can ask directors, if possible, to stick around for a few minutes to have a one-on-one or face-to-face visitor discussion with any members that care to come up and talk to us. And our time of adjournment was what, 11:20? 11:45?
No, I have some. Oh, I signed one.
Was there anything else?
Yes. I'm sure if Mr. Colonel sees what they put up to say, he'll let us know.
I double checked.
Two checks in there.
Matter of fact, she wasn't even here when I had no clue.
I'm very.
We met.
Yes, a couple times. Charles Fish. Lived here for 8 years, but just retired last year. So finally I get to start and see how things go. How about you? Still enjoying being the director?
Here's a little waiter.
I've seen about 3 or 4 of them go through now. But now I get to hear you on person.
Well, I'm supposed to be taken care of by the people that live employed at the park.
Well, it's definitely interesting here. Yes, you can remember Fish.
Who's in charge?
I thought the
Sorry?
That's all right. I thought the weeds, the grass, and all the roads back there was mowed and taken care of.
No, it's been done by volunteers in the past. I don't think there's any possible way, humanly possible, that we can lay that
Is there any
John I don't know.
Two people just signed up.
I just heard the tail end of it, and I just heard what you tell me. You're in town.
There's a gun club in our area. I'm not going to come here, but you can figure it out. I'm working on that.
I don't have a mower.
But right here, you was in the exact same spot.
Been coming for the last several months now since I retired. Well, maybe not since I retired, but the last 4 or 5 months. What, you gonna put your name in the hat again? Well, I'm thinking about it too.
Well, you know, I said I'm not sure the board.
Well, I'm pretty much flip-flopping right now.
She would have called somebody. I don't believe this guy. Okay. Get the 87. Thank you. I'll be back to get copies of that document. Thank you. We're working it. We're going to make that.
Whoa, I didn't even know I was that close to the camera. Good catch.
I caught it, but I don't know what to do with it. My question. Yeah, go ahead.
All right, we are now reconvening from our executive session into regular session at 1:20 p.m.
Yeah.
In the executive session, we went over and attended to a number of items. The first one would be a contract with CSI involving providing us IT monitoring service and a number of things involving the safety and operation of our electronic and computer systems. It was agreed, and I would like a motion now that we accept that contract, authorize it to be signed, executed, subject to the favorable approval and okay of our attorneys.
So moved.
Mr. Herman makes that motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Are we ready to vote?
Yes.
All in favor? All opposed? Okay, we had 4 in favor, 1 opposed. And I'll mention just for the record that Secretary Marie Perkins rejoined us for this session partway through our executive session. So we welcome her back. The second thing we considered was the payroll contract with ADP, outsourcing our payroll services to them as a firm. I believe we agreed, and I would entertain a motion to that effect, that we approve the acceptance of entering into that contract with ADP for payroll services.
So moved.
Mr. Herman makes a motion, second.
Seconding.
Was that Sean?
Yes.
Okay. Director Hope seconds the motion. All in favor?
Were we going to make a statement?
Statement.
That's not what we were doing. We aren't outsourcing the payroll.
Yes.
We're utilizing a different service to do the payroll.
It is a payroll management service.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, amend. Do you accept that amendment to the motion?
Yes.
Second, do you accept
Yes.
it? All right, with that amendment to the motion, all those in favor? We have a unanimous approval. The next item that we addressed was rearranging some of our banking relationships and agreements in order to obtain more efficiency, up-to-date, modern processing of our financial affairs. And the agreement was that our CPA, Andrew Smullen, is going to investigate more options with banks trying to keep it as local as possible in terms of Del Rio, Eagle Pass, or Uvalde, and report back to us what he can have. Was that what we agreed?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, that's what we agreed. No motion.
No action.
No action. Well, we are looking for approval to authorize our executive officer, Richard Lawrence, to sign an engagement letter with our auditors to begin the annual audit. Do I have such a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
And I'll second it.
Have a second from Deborah Isaac, a motion from Mr. Herman. Can you insert in that motion the full name of the auditing firm? What is it, Oliver?
Yes, yeah, we'll put that in there.
Yeah, you've got that in there, okay. All in favor? Unanimous approval. Then we have a letter of complaint from a member regarding the abuse of common property by another neighbor with a number of their personal items continuously put upon that common property. I believe we're going to ask or assign management and administration to use our approved processes to deal with that issue and that problem, which will be involved engaging the owner to correct it. So there is no motion there. Is there any other business to be brought forth to the board of directors at this time?
I'll make the motion.
I have a motion to adjourn.
Adjourn. You need to give the next board meeting a date and time, though.
The next board meeting, sure it isn't the 25th?
Why
Okay.
not?
Yeah, okay. The next board meeting will be December 19th, 2018 at 9:30 a.m. in this boardroom. I now have a motion to adjourn.
Adjourn.
Second.
Adjourn. All in favor? We are adjourned.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving.
Mr. Lawrence,
Yes, sir.
here a while back, we were talking about, or y'all were talking about putting in a new software package. Has it been put in?
No.
So we're still waiting on that or
Yes.
waiting on approval for it?
No, we need to find the proper one.